Hello, Rays. KJ here. Just got through hanging out on Difficult Research with Krisha K. Easton to watch John Pryor and Chad Daybell sit at their table and not really cause much of an issue. Although I would say there's an issue of looking at that nasty ass man who looks like a goblin statue that sits on top of a Roman cathedral, sitting in that seat with this gray look on his face, just as stone cold serial killer as he is. Tammy's blood money bought Chad Daybell some time. Tammy's blood money got the cases severed thanks to John Pryor. Tammy's blood money got a change of venue and continuance after continuance. Well, everything's on track now isn't it? But the one thing Tammy's blood money will not buy is Chad Daybell's way out of a death penalty case. But what it will buy, according to John Pryor, is 7 experts. John Pryor is letting everyone know he's got 7 experts. He's paid money to get them flown in, stay at hotels and all this stuff. Wonder what these 7 experts are all about. Well, I scratched my head on that, but we're going to find out when Chad's trial gets here what these 7 experts have to say about that nasty ass, crazy ass Chad Daybell is all about. But I got to thinking, well, maybe John Pryor needs some of old KJ's 7 experts. You think KJ could come up with 7 experts for Chad Daybell? Well, how about this? I got a list of 7 experts that can be used in Chad Daybell's trial. Number 1, an expert on serial killers, okay? Chad Daybell is a serial killer. Chad Daybell is a disgusting excuse of a man. He thinks he has hair on those balls and that he has the big kahuna. I'll tell you what, every time he got with Lolo there, he had to strap on a 2x4 and fall in and have a freaking helicopter come down and pull his ass out of her vagina. Number 2, the second expert. The expert should be an expert on lazy bums. Chad Daybell's a lazy bum. He couldn't hold a freaking job. Oh, yeah, he's a cemetery sexton. He digs graves here and there. He hated it that he spent so much time when he wanted to do other things besides bring money into his household to help his own damn family. Obviously, he didn't want to go out here and make money and start a new life with his hooker. He'd rather murder his wife for insurance money. That's Chad Daybell's way of doing things. So, yes, we need an expert on freaking lazy bums. The third expert KJ recommends is an expert on womanizers, because Chad Daybell was flirty before he met that damn hooker. There are other people that's already said he'd go to these conferences and flirt and tell women all this shit about polygamy and all this other crap. He's a womanizer. And everything he did was to get away from his normal Mormon life. He was sex-driven all the way. Yes, we need an expert on womanizers. The fourth expert that I think that we all need to hear from in Chad Daybell's trial is an expert on homewreckers. Chad Daybell didn't give a rat's ass about anybody else's families. He didn't even give a shit about his own family, okay? We need to hear from an expert about how Chad Daybell absolutely wrote the script that led to the murder of Charles Vallow and those children and his own wife, Tammy. We need to hear from an expert who will say that all Chad wanted was to ruin other people's lives. The fifth expert that KJ thinks would be good would be, how about an expert on Chad Daybell's fake prophet shit, his sin beyond the bell crap? Yeah. Some expert get out there and tell everybody how Chad Daybell went around acting like he could see beyond the veil, that he had these personal revelations, and all it was ever about was rating people. Why did he just say, you know what, I don't like you, or I do like you? No, he had to drag religion into it. And in his case, it was cult-like religious fanaticism. So yes, we'd love to hear from an expert on fake prophet shit. Number 6. The 6th expert that old KJ I'd like to hear from in Chad Daybell's trial would be an expert on grave digging and body dismemberment. You know, we need to hear from an expert that talks about how Chad Daybell had the rocks and paneling ready for poor JJ's grave, and the pickaxe and all the other things that Chad and Alex did to poor Tylee. We need to hear an expert say how anyone could do such a thing. How they, obviously Chad Daybell found pleasure in it, or he'd have never done it. Everything Chad Daybell goes back to the expert in womanizing and sex-driven activity. It was all euphoric and sexual for Chad Daybell. He's a piece of shit, and he needs the death penalty. And finally, y'all, the 7th expert that I think Chad Daybell needs to hear from is Chad's transition to prison or death row, an expert in that, and how Chad is going to go into prison life. And he's not going to get to be a man, you know what I mean? He's not going to be an alpha. He's going to be one of these ones that's going to have his little tail tucked real tight so that it doesn't get slammed so hard when he's bent over. You know, like taking a freaking pin and using a sledgehammer to slam it straight up his ass. Well, there it is, y'all. 7 experts. An expert in serial killers, an expert in lazy bums, an expert in womanizing, home wrecking, fake prophet shit, grave digging, body dismemberment, and absolutely an expert on how Chad is going to love Bubba.